So welcome everyone to this another webinar hosted by saasguru team. And thank you very much to saasguru for having me here for this topic. Okay, so before we go for the our next session, just quick intro. If someone is new to this saasguru platform, like saasguru is helping you for your certification journey with I can say gamified and some module based learning, like it's something personalized recommendation assessments based on your choice. Like for example, if you are going to prepare for the platform developer one, then there is dedicated learning module along with the progress and a score. Like if you are going to attempt some of the quiz, you are able to see where I am in my certification journey. Live classes, mentoring, and all contents are available on the saasguru. You can learn and you can check your progress on the leaderboard. So saasguru is also enabling trailhead based learning. Like you are learning with trailhead module, you are preparing for the certifications. And as you know, for the certifications, suggestion is you should have hands-on, like you have hands-on and you have practical exposure. And here saasguru is filling the gap between your learning and certifications with some practical use cases, some concept revisions there, and mentorship from the team. So you can join the community of saasguru with the Slack community. I hope you have already saasguru access, like you have saasguru dashboard, and you can join the Slack community from there. You can follow the LinkedIn saasguru official page for the all updates related like new announcements, some giveaways, and you can also get some certification vouchers. Like time to time there's a giveaway and you can participate in all those quickly updates from the saasguru team and our community. Like many talented people like you are there and they all are engaging with each other. Well, so today our session is Apex trigger based practices. And as a Salesforce developer, we love writing piece of code and doing automation with help of Apex triggers. And as you know, like we have powerful tools, then we have lots of responsibilities. So let's quickly look for the agenda. We are going to start with the Apex triggers overview. So it will cover some basics, like if some beginners is here in this session, that will be helpful for them as well. So we are going to start with basic overview. Then we'll talk some consideration, like some best practices, and we'll go with some hands-on, and we'll check how the same requirement can be done in the various way, maybe more than two approach, and we will compare which approach is better and how and why. Then we'll take some question answers. If you have any questions, we'll discuss that. Okay. Yeah, I think many of you are already aware. My name is Om Prakash. I am Salesforce MVP from the class 2020. And I am currently associated with AppyCrown. This is a newly founded consulting company. You can connect with me on this Trailblazer profile, Om Prakash. I am very much active on the LinkedIn and social media like Twitter and Facebook. This is a Facebook page, my Twitter profile. Let's connect and we can learn from each other from our learning and career journey. Once again, thank you very much for being here. Well, so as I mentioned, we'll start from the very basic, from the zero level here. Then we'll go in some deep. So Apex trigger, like as you know, yeah, we are going to write Apex code, and that Apex code is going to invoke, like automatically Apex coding is called, and we are writing Apex trigger. So in the Apex trigger, my Apex code will be executed, and any record creation, maybe record update, record is going to merge, or record is going to delete, trigger is running automatically. And we have these 7 methods: insert, update, delete, merge, upsert, and delete. These 6 I can say, but if you look on the details, like either merge or upsert is going to help you. Like, okay, upsert means either record is going to create or record is going to update. So upsert will work for the insert and as well as update. Merge means in the merge, what happened? Record is going to delete and record is going to update. So if merge operation is happening, means we have delete event and we have update event. And undelete, if some record is going to recovered from the cycle win, then trigger will also executed. So in these events like insert, update, delete, triggers and after triggers. So if I look back on the basic before triggers, like suppose lead record is created and I need to update some field on the same lead record, then go with the before trigger. At the same time, I can say either contact record is created or contact record is updated. Go with and we have to change some field value on same record, then before trigger. Okay, after trigger means we have to access the record ID, we have to access the last modified date, then suggestion is go with the after trigger. And if the after trigger, we can perform some operations like send email, maybe update some related record, update some other records. And one very important thing we always need to keep in mind, in the after trigger, all records are read only. Like if we are taking something from trigger.new, then that instance, those records are read only. We can't update those records. Okay, so Apex triggers, if you look on some more details, then let's see. Trigger can also modify other records of the same time as the record that initially fired the trigger. Means here I want to say, if contact record is updated, okay, we can either update the contact record or we can also update the related account record from the trigger. And here, very important thing we need to keep in mind. Let me give you one example here. I am updating contact, and now in the contact, there is a account updation. In the contact trigger, there is a account updation, and that account updation is firing another trigger, that is account trigger. Okay, and in that account trigger, suppose I am making a SOQL query and I am updating the same contact. That contact was had the trigger initially, then that update will not possible, because concern is, I will check with the example as well. Concern is the original triggers that was fired in the before insert, and you are going to update the same in the before insert, so we'll face some error. But no worry, I will cover this in the use case as well. Some key points like what we can do if you update or delete record. Then if you are using the before trigger and if you are going to delete, you will receive the runtime error. Means I am using trigger.new and I am using delete, error will be thrown there. So if you have to delete something, then session is go in the after insert. Don't delete something in the before insert. Some implementation consideration, like we write piece of code and we need to keep these things in mind. So let's talk one by one. Upsert triggers means we are doing some upsert, then it will fire in the either before or after, means before insert or after insert, and same with before update and after update. So you need to implement the logic accordingly. Means suppose some requirement is coming, if record is getting records are going to be upsert, then you need to implement properly for before insert, after insert, before update, after update. Okay, merge, I think I already covered in the previous one, but here some more details. Merge is happening, then delete means what happened, like suppose 3 records are going to be merged, then 2 records is going to delete, 1 record is going to be updated in the merge operations. So here you need to take implement the trigger carefully. how I will handle the both records which is going to be deleted, and how I will handle the records that is going to be updated. One important point, field history is not recorded until the end of triggers. Means if you want to query field history, like we have some specific object for tracking the field history, then you can't get the data in the before insert. So field history is only recorded once every commit will be happened. And field history also carries the permissions. Like if I want to access some field changes and I don't have access on that field, then I can't access the field history tracking details in the trigger. So here permissions is enabled for those as well. If you are doing some call outs from trigger, then make sure we are going to call in the asynchronous way, not in the synchronous way. Otherwise you will get the error. That is something commit, like things are not committed. You are calling out without committing the database. So that's why, like when we call future methods from the like when we need to call out something, we use future methods or we use batch classes. We'll talk more about this later in some other slides, but just message here is call out should be happen in the asynchronous way. For the undelete trigger, like we use undelete trigger as well, and for the undelete we use after undelete. Maybe account record is recovered from the recycle bin, account record is restored from the recycle bin, then process some logic. And for the undelete, we have some selected objects, and these are list. You can take the screenshots or you can maybe keep it somewhere. Like undelete trigger event only fire for the following objects. And also we need to keep in mind, like undelete trigger only works for the top level objects. For example, you can see account is going to deleted, so opportunity will be automatically deleted. Now I'm going to recover the account from the recycle bin, then as usual all opportunity will be automatically undelete, but trigger will only fire on the account, and that is master, I can say, top level object, I can say. So this is something what I will suggest. We can't remember everything, right? But suggestion is, please go ahead, try creating one trigger on the account on after delete, also one trigger on the opportunity after delete, maybe print system.debug, and you can visualize only top level objects is working for the undelete operations. And it can help you in the exams, like some questions is there and some use cases are there. They are giving you some various options, and in the options you will not confuse. Once you are clear, okay, child object undelete is not working, undelete trigger is not working. Similarly, if I go for the previous one, this screenshot, I can see 3 to 4 questions can be created from here. Maybe they are giving you one use case and they are giving you some multiple options, and they're asking you asynchronous and synchronous. And one question from here, maybe field history tracking, they are just giving you some use cases. And if you keep these points in mind, you can play with the logical question in your exam. Merging, there might be a question, okay, user is going to merge, there is 4 records, one record will be there. How trigger execution will works in the options, these options will be there. Okay, before delete, after delete, before update, after update, and same with the upsert cases. So I can say these points are also helpful for the exam points of view. Now bulk triggers, of course, like once you access trigger.new, then what happened, they are giving you all the trigger, all the records. Like either I am going to update one records or I am going to update multiple records. Trigger.new is going to give me all records. So our logic should be also for the bulk support, not only for one record. And always plan how my logic will work for all record, because in the some requirements, once you understand the requirement, it will be like, okay, only one record is cause. But if you think about the data loading or maybe multiple records created from the Apex, you can think, okay, data import, someone will do data import, then multiple record will be created. Someone is going to call our bulk API from the Java system or another system. That time also multiple record is going to be created. Mass actions, like I'm going to change owners of multiple records, or maybe I'm going to delete multiple records, then bulk will be supported. Similarly, recursion, like let's talk recursion here again. I am going to create account record. Okay. And then in the logic, I have just created a contact. There is a contact trigger. In that contact trigger, suppose again some account record is created, means that account record will cause the trigger to fire again, and it will go in the loop, means it will cause the recursion. So we need to plan that thing in the advance during the writing trigger logic, or even if you are going to modify some trigger logic, then you don't only need to focus on current trigger, you also need to focus on some other related trigger. Okay, if account is updated, then if any contact is updated, then okay, any account is again updated. So in this way, we can look on our existing triggers, and we can plan the next for support the bulk triggers. Okay, and we don't need to commit manually. Like suppose my Apex triggers running and all logic is completed, then every changes will be committed to database automatically. But if trigger failed, like if I go to my example again, if I am updating something on the account, then in the trigger, I am also updating contact, and suppose contact updation is failed, then my original changes can be also rolled back if there is no proper exception handling. And if some trigger is not completed successfully, then my previous changes will be not committed to the database, that will be rolled back. So here message from here is we should have proper exception handling. Okay, so let's talk something about the trigger context variable. In the trigger, we have multiple context variable, and we should utilize the power of all those. Like if we start from the very basic, that's called is insert. Like if trigger is running because of the insertion, because of the create operations, like either it can be from the UI, from the Apex, or from the API, like from anywhere. If some new record is going to create in the Salesforce, then is insert will return the true. Is update, similarly, any update operations from the anywhere, UI, Apex, or API, then our context variable is update will return true. So we can write the logic like, okay, if is update, then go next. Is delete, like if trigger is firing due to delete, and is undelete if trigger is fired when we are going to recover the records from the recycle bins. And it main thing is it should be from anywhere, either from UI, from the Apex, or from the API endpoint. Okay, is before, is after, because in the beginning we have discussed two context, like one insert event, then is before, is after. Same for the update, is before, is after. And here we need to take care. Okay, is before means if trigger is firing in the before context, like if my record is not committed to the database, and if trigger is running, then is before will give you true value. And is after, if changes is committed to the database, then that context is called is after. And in the beginning I was talking, if we have to update something on the same record which is cause of the trigger, you can go in the is before. And if you have to take the record ID last modified by date or any formula field value, you have to send the email, or if you have to update some other records, then you have to do this thing in the is after. So with help of this is after context variable, you can check is if this logic is running in the is after. New we start learning trigger from this trigger.new context variable itself, and that is going to hold the current version of S object records. And we need to keep in mind this is available in insert, update, and undelete trigger. So new is not available in the delete. So maybe in the exam questions, some options can be tricky with this. So we need to keep in the mind insert, update, and undelete triggers hold the new, and the records can only be modified in the before triggers. What is the meaning of this? We write for loop, and then we create instance, and then we change the field value, and we don't need to write the update statements, and we can do this with the new context variable. New map, very similar to new, but this is giving me ID and corresponding S object record. Like if trigger.new is holding 5 leads that is going to be created or updated in this context. So new map will hold all those 5 leads, but all record ID will be there in the key. Record ID in the key, records in the value. And same thing, before update, after insert, after update, and after undelete, you can access the new map. Here again, you need to keep in mind before update, after insert, before insert not available. And you can visualize why, because in the before insert, record ID is not generated yet, right? So you can visualize, okay, before update, after update, yeah, valid. After insert, valid. Before insert, ID is not there, so not suggested. After undelete, yes, ID is there. Before undelete, no, it's not available, right? Before undelete is not available. So this is very important for the exam point of view as well. Old, return the list of old version of the S object records. Like I am going to change my email address on the lead. So lead has now 2 different versions of record. One lead record holding the previous version of email ID, one lead record holding the latest version of email ID, and trigger.old will give me the list of the original version, I mean previous version of the field's value, and you can only access this list in update and delete trigger because in the insert there is no any concept of previous version and new version. Only this is possible in the update. I am going to change my website on the account. So maybe website currently is the saasguru.com, later maybe saasguru.go.in. So previous version, next version during update. So we can access those value from the trigger.old. And some use cases might be like, okay, send email to user when email is changed. So how I will track my email is changed? Taking the trigger.new, that will giving me latest value of email, and trigger.old giving me older value of email. We can compare both. And old map, very similar to this old, but here again, it is holding my ID and key, ID and record. Means again, trigger.old is holding 10 records, then old map will also hold 10 records, but key, record ID, value, record. And this is also available in the update and delete triggers, like old and old map, very similar. New map, very similar. Just ID is there. Record ID is there in the map. And you can start thinking when to use what. So generally trigger.new we use if we need to update something, and we need to update something on the current record, and if we need to check on which object DML was happened, then we use trigger.new. And if you have to compare some previous value, we take the old or old map. And benefit of using old map is that you can avoid the for loop inside for loop. Directly we can call the old map, and we can find out, okay, record ID coming from the trigger.new and finding out the corresponding record from the old map, and context is in the update or maybe in the delete, not during the insert. Okay, in the same trigger context variable, because still we are in the context variable, we have is executing, and this is very helpful for shared code. Suppose I have a code, I have a method, and that method is getting called from the Apex trigger, and that method is also getting called from the any web services or maybe from the any page, and maybe I'm calling that method from our anonymous window. Then each executing will return true if that code is called from trigger. Helpful for identify that, okay, this logic is calling from trigger, then maybe I need to do these things. If not, then I need to perform the normal operations. So we can use each executing there. Beginner, can we yeah, differentiate Apex triggers example use versus using flow instead? Yes, thank you very much for asking. I will surely discuss that. Hi Nina, I'm a little late, I missed beginner part. Okay, no worry, I will discuss it. Just till now I was covering about the context variables, and I was talking about the use of Apex triggers. So no worry, you will not miss anything. Maybe I can recap that as well. So I was talking here about the context variable. So I was telling, if you are using is executing, then if it will return true, then you can write your logic assuming my trigger is running, otherwise normal logic. Operation type, this is another context variable, and operation type will return you enum, and that will, okay, possible value maybe before insert, before update, before delete, after insert. So it's combination of and now we can see, okay, after insert, after update. So what I will suggest, you can go to trigger, you can just print trigger dot operation type, and you will see how it is printing, and you can check the value in the debug log. And now based on this, you can differentiate your logic. Size, of course, total number of records, maybe on the old and maybe on the new, we can use the size. So size is very specific to list size here. You can use this size context variable there. Now, suggestion is always use one trigger per object. And now we have discussed multiple context variables. So you can see how we can achieve that. This is one of way I have written lead trigger on lead, and you can see before insert, before after insert, all 7 events are here. And I written if trigger.is before, trigger.is before, return true if this trigger was fired before any record was saved. So I'm telling you, okay, this is my before, and inside that I have used trigger.insert, and combining those is before is insert means before insert. You can call your method of handler class from here if you want that logic to be executed in the before insert. This is update. Again, I am inside is before, and is update means before update, and by default else before delete here, because in the is before, is insert checked, is update checked, then before delete. Else of this is before means is after, and here is insert means after insert, is update means after update, is delete after delete, and remaining one after undelete. So you can mark your trigger structure like this, and you can call your logic or separate logic as per your requirement. And I have written like this, but you can write in a different way as well, like trigger.is before and trigger.is insert. But main quick message here is one trigger per object, and you can see it's clean. Just I am calling my method from here, and I am using those methods. For the context variables we have discussed, and now there is some consideration. Trigger.new and trigger.old cannot be used in Apex DML operations. Means there is, let me go here in my org, and suppose I am writing in update and trigger.new, it will give you error. It is not suggested. So first line is about that. You can use an object to change its own field value using trigger.new, but only in before trigger. In after trigger.new is not saved, so runtime exception is thrown. So let me write like something here. Suppose I'm writing for, and here is my trigger.new, and it's giving me lead because I am in the lead trigger. So lead obj lead trigger.new, like here it's missing. And if I write obj lead dot maybe last name equal to Prakash, so this is valid if there is a context of before insert, but if I write after insert, then this will throw the exception, because in the after insert this trigger.new is read only, so it will throw some runtime exception. Trigger.old is always read only, means if I write like this, it will again throw me error. You should not write, because trigger.old is giving us the read only value. You cannot delete trigger.new, means you should not write delete trigger.new. It will also not work. This is some consideration. And some exam questions can be, I can say not exam question, but there is exam one question for trigger. In the options, there might be some tricky questions like this, but once you will keep this in mind, you can easily skip that. Okay, no, this is correct answer. This is not a correct answer. Trailhead, there is very good trailhead module that's called set of the VS Code. So you can quickly search VS Studio, and it will get quick start Visual Studio Code for Salesforce development, and you can install all those things. All steps are here. Okay. Now this chart, if you look, I can see very important. I will also suggest if you can take the screenshots. The same thing I have discussed a couple of things from here, but few things are new. You can let's look one by one. In the before insert, can change field using trigger.new? Yes, allowed. Just in the previous example, I was talking the same thing. Okay. Can update original object using update DML? Not applicable. The original object has not been created. Nothing will happen because we are in the before insert. So we can't update. It's not applicable. Can we delete original object using delete? No, because record is still not created. But if you think one statement in the before insert, record ID is not generated yet, then you are able to take all these three calls. Okay, record ID is not generated means record is not committed to database. It means we can change the field value. Update delete? No, because for general rule, either delete or either update, you need record ID. But in the before insert, record ID is not there, so both are not applicable. So you don't need to remember anything, just you need to visualize. Okay, if you are doing some practice, you can connect the dot between all three things. After insert, not allowed. Why? Because trigger.new is already saved, and now this is read only. So this is not possible. Can we update original object? Yeah, it's allowed, but not using trigger.new, maybe by using the record ID of that trigger.new, and now we can update those records. This is possible in the after insert. And delete, yeah, allowed but unnecessary, because you are in the after insert, then why you are going to delete that? But yeah, it's allowed, you can delete that. Before update, allowed, yeah, you can change the field value. Not allowed, a runtime error is thrown. Here we are already in the after update context, and in the after update context, why you are going to update ego? If you're going to update that with help of trigger.new, it will throw some error. Again, not allowed. And I will suggest having some practicals for this. Maybe if you are learning Apex Trigger, I will suggest, okay, just try to write what is happening, and that error message will come in your mind. You can see the error message. And benefit of this chart is, I'm sure when you are writing new piece of code, new trigger, then you will take care of these things. But just assume there is some existing trigger and maybe some unverified code is there, means maybe I have not tested the code, some code is written and that code is throwing some errors. You can take the call based on these charts. Similarly, I'm not going to spend much time, but you can take screenshots and you can easily understand, okay, in the after update, again, not allowed, because in the after, I said earlier in the previous slides, in the after, it's already read only, record is already saved. So it's not allowed to change the field value with help of trigger.new. This is allowed, this is allowed. In the before delete, not allowed, because trigger.new is not available. And now you can visualize, okay, in the previous slide, I have used 3 or 4 slides to explain some basic terms, and this slides is holding all the summarized info. In the before delete, we can't change the field value because in the before delete, trigger.new is not available. In the before delete, yeah, if you want, then you can do something. The updates are saved before the object is deleted. So if the object is undeleted, the update becomes visible. You can do that, and not allowed because deletion is in progress. So runtime error will be occurred. And if I talk about after delete, then again, same thing. In the after delete, trigger.new is not available because object is already deleted. I mean, record is already deleted. So you can't update any field value here. And here also object is already deleted. In the after undelete, not allowed, because just we are going to recover something from recycle bins. We can't change any field value that time. Yes, here in the can update original object using an update DML operations. Yeah, you can use the update DML operation after taking the record ID from that. This is possible. And another thing is allowed but unnecessary, means anyway, we are going to delete something, then we are going to recover something. Why I will write delete operations there? So, but it will possible. Like if you want to write some logic, when someone is going to restore from the recycle bin, then delete again, that is possible, but meaningless, right? So we should avoid our unusual code, and I can say unexpected runtime behavior based on these charts. And common suggestions we have for the bulk triggers: use trigger.new map and old map, as I discussed earlier in the basic context. Then ID to S object mapping will be there. You can avoid the for loop inside for loop with help of this, like taking ID and corresponding records. Set and map will of course helpful for you. Like if you are using set for holding the unique records, if you are using map for holding the key value pairs, maybe I need email and corresponding record ID for that email. Assumption is unique email per unique record, means one contact has unique email. Then I can create the map of email to contact, and that will help me in the bulk triggers. Something again for the merge statements, like when 2 records are merged, only the delete and update triggers fire. And here the order of executions for the merge. And this example is very much related to the exam questions again, because you can think very important topic. What happened when merge will happen? The before delete triggers fires. Then the system will delete the record that need to be deleted, and that time maybe they're going to assign the new parent or child record, and delete will record deleted. Here I'm talking about maybe contact and account merging. After that, delete triggers will fire, and system does not specify updates master records. So normal update trigger file. So order is the question here is, when you are going to merge the record, what will happen? So firstly, before delete trigger will fire, then after delete will fire, and then update trigger will fire. Means firstly deletion will happen, then updation will happen. This is the key takeaway from this slide. For the bulk programs, some suggestions are minimize the number of DMLs and also minimize the number of SOQL statements. You can use the in clause, like we have option while writing SOQL query. Instead of using record ID equal record ID, you can write in set of record ID. So this is some best practices for the bulk programs, like minimize the number of DMLs, always use the collection of DML statements, like you use the DML on the list. Some all-time suggestion is always use one trigger per object. I have already given some quick code overview earlier, how we can write our code so that only one trigger is required. Bulkify your helper method and reuse the codes, and keep logic outside suggested or trigger handler is suggested. Always keep corner limits in mind, otherwise your program will be terminated. If you are going to hit the corner limits, you should always use the DML statements in the bulkify way and avoid the nested for loop. I think this is a common message. If you have to do call outs, then suggestion is use the asynchronous method, and you can utilize the future methods. Like you can call out the external API in the future methods, and future methods will be called from trigger. But keep in mind, in the one context, we have 50 Apex invocation for the future methods. So if you feel you have more than 50 records, you have to call more than 50 times from the trigger, then again, you can use the batch Apex. So these things you should keep in mind if you're going to implement the future or batch for calling out from the trigger. I was talking one use case earlier about the recursion. Like if I have updated the account, and in the account there is update on contact, then contact trigger is fire. And in the contact trigger, if there is another insertion on the account, then again account trigger will fire, and it will go in the recursion. So what we can do, we have you will get the error maximum trigger depth exceeds, because you can feel okay, I am going to update account from the UI, then account trigger fired. In the account trigger, I have updated a contact, then contact trigger fired. In the contact trigger, there is updation of the same account maybe, then again account trigger fire. Means you can say it's going in the loop, and there's a time like maximum trigger depth exceeded. Then you can use the static Boolean variable in the Apex class, and you can check how, like this. I have one class check recursive. Here I have one public static Boolean first call equal to false. You can give any name. By default, when this class will load, this static variable will initialize as false. And in the trigger, I can write, okay, check recursive, this class name dot first call, because this is instant static variable, first call true, and just opposite of this false. Means okay, when trigger is running on the contact or maybe on the account, then I'm checking if first call is false, then go inside this, mark the first call true, and then call your logic from here. And when this logic will again cause to call this trigger, then you can visualize, okay, this time my first call is true, so if else if will be fail, and this will not executed again, and I can save my recursion. I will able to handle the recursion with help of this static Boolean variable. Okay, one very important key point here for the large data volume, because sometimes, okay, so let me read some good interesting discussion here. The order of merge is interesting because there is question in the community on why dealer not. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, so I can relate with that. Could you please give an example for bulk trigger? Yeah, thank you very much, Ratindra. All triggers are bulk triggers by default, and that's why either we are going to use update one record, or you are going to update multiple record. Trigger.new is giving you the list of records there. So it's by default bulk, but sometimes we create issue, like maybe what we can do, I am using trigger.new, and this is giving me all the list, and maybe I have used the 0 index here, and I am able to achieve my logic. So here I am breaking the rule of bulkification, right? This is for the large data volume. Like suppose millions of record is getting updated from the data loader, and in our system, we have lots of validations rule, lots of flow, and I can say apex triggers, then these things will slow the data loading. Again, there's a very deep topic here, large data volume, but just a quick message I want to pass in terms of our context, very context of apex triggers here. Once you analyzed everything, like, okay, this validation rule can be deactivated, maybe this trigger can be deactivated, then you can take a call, okay, I need to deactivate some trigger. But as you know, while during data loading, deactivation of trigger is not easy, because again, you have to deploy deactivated trigger from the sandbox to production. But after implementation of custom setting and playing with the checkbox, you can deactivate your trigger. I mean, you can stop your logic of trigger. How? Let's see one quick example. Suppose I have one custom setting, data load setting C, and I am taking this for the current user, and then I'm checking, okay, large data load C, just my custom field name on the custom setting is true, then return, I mean, skip the trigger logic, and if not, then execute. And what I can do, if I have large data volume, I am going to upload bulk data from the external system, I need to deactivate my trigger for the faster processing. Then what we can do, simply go to this custom setting and mark this checkbox false, true, large data load C true, and your trigger logic will be escaped. Once you have done, go ahead, mark this false. So you don't need to deactivate or activate the trigger, just you can play with your custom setting. So this is some consideration for the large data volume. Some common causes of bad trigger performance, because we are talking about triggers, so we should keep in mind how you can increase the performance. And some most common cause for bad trigger performance is maybe bad triggers use DML operations, unnecessary DMLs, unrequired, some records update is there. Maybe I need to update only 5 record, and I am using DML on the list of record where maybe 10 records is there. SQL query I'm not using properly. I need 5 records, but my SQL query is returning more than 50 records, means where clause is not properly. Maybe input output is slow, and I can say here also my SQL query is taking more time. The same example I was mentioning, I am writing SQL query without proper where clause, that will cause my trigger low performance. And I am using unusual DML, as I given already one example. I need to update 5 records, but just I am updating entire list of record in without filtering. So that will cause of the trigger performance here. Our trigger will be slow. So we need to keep those things in mind. So now I will not take much time, but just I wanted to cover this quick hands-on. Just think, and let me see what is next. Okay, then I have text class. Then yeah, that's good. So quick hands-on I have, and I want to help you understand the same trigger logic. How one logic is better, how second logic is I can say best. Maybe two logic and which is best. So very basic use case. Let's think. When a new lead is created as the email of any existing contact, then update the description field on the lead with duplicate contact ID. Okay. Lead. And here I am going to create new lead. And this time I am going to put email ID om@gmail.com. And what I want, check if email of this lead is available in the other contact. Maybe this email is available on any contact. If yes, then update the contact here. Just for quick reference, I am updating here, but maybe real requirement can be create one lookup field contact and update here. But thought is, what I'm going to do when trigger on the lead will fire, then I will write SQL query on the contact. I will find matching contact. If yes, I will bring that contact ID and I will update on the description of lead. So for this, you can see I have already written one logic. Let me revert all my recent changes. Yeah, you can see lead trigger on the lead. I have chosen before insert because anyway, I have to update the same lead record, description of the same lead record. Then I have chosen the before insert, and I have just written lead trigger handler, one class, and there is one method before insert approach one, and I am sending trigger.new. In this logic, you can see what I am doing. Add all email from lead to a key of a map. Means I have just created a map email to contact ID, and here there is a for loop. I am checking if email is not null. So this is also best practice I am doing. Maybe I can skip this, I can add this, but what I am doing, I am only going to take emails where email is not null on the lead, and I am preparing this map email to contact, means email, but I don't know what is contact as of now, so it's null. So now you can feel, you can see, okay, if I created one lead and email is om@gmail.com, then in the key, my email is there, and in the value, null is there. Similarly, if 5 record will be there, if 5 lead is going to be created in one go, then what happened? This map will hold 5 email and 5 corresponding null, just null. And then I am making SQL query on contact, and I am writing find select email from contact where email in map.keyset. And you can think, okay, even I can use the set here. I can use the set to hold the email, but just I like map has a method key set. So I am taking all the contact where email in the map key, and now I am going to put again in the same map contact.email and corresponding contact. You can see I have played very wisely here with the same variable. And at the end of like here, this map will give me contact ID corresponding to that particular email. Now I can use a for loop on the same list of lead, means trigger.new, and I can update obj lead.description equal to map.get lead emails, and here cut edge, the same email in the keys, the same email here. I am taking the contact, and here I will be able to take the contact ID. And now what happened if I deploy this code to developer org, if I deploy this trigger to my developer org, then during record creation, record will be updated, lead will be updated with the matching contact if any contact is available. Now I think I will run this, but before that, let's see one important thing here. Now assume there is 100 lead, but only 40 lead has email. Just assume. And now here, this for loop is running 100 times. And once after execution, it will check the CPU limit, then it will take more CPU limit. So I have come with approach 2. Let's go and the same trigger logic, approach 2 here. I'm just making it little quick as per our time, but you can see here now what I am doing. I have created a map holding the lead and key in the first. Key means email, then lead. I'm able to do this now. Same logic here, taking the key set, but I have introduced one new map and I have created the same logic. Nothing, logic is still same, only cut edge. Here my for for loop is not running on trigger.new. See, in the previous use case, my for loop is executing on the trigger.new, maybe 100 record, but here my for loop is running on the 40 records. If I talk about my example, so now CPU limit, CPU timeout here, not timeout, CPU will take less time because I am only going to execute on this selected records. So let me quickly check this. Let me go to the org and let me open the script from here. Okay, so give me a moment. Script. Maybe I am going to create 100 record for loop, and here list of lead. Sorry, I will take next 2 minutes. LST lead. Okay, and I am going to use this for loop and equal to 0 count maybe 100 time count plus plus, and here I'm going to create new lead obj equal to new lead obj dot last name equal to demo. Company equal to demo session. And I'm going to put in the list dot add obj. Okay, and let me copy this again, and this time I will use email on this email, maybe demo at the demo.com, and here insert list of lead. And if I execute this, okay, sorry, something wrong. Oh, my bad. New list of lead here, right? Like this. Let me clear this. Execute. And if you look on this, let me copy this execution. Let me copy, let me paste in the here. Okay. And now let me go with approach 2. Approach 2. Let me save and deploy this. And now if you look here, again, I'm going to execute the same logic. Let me clean this. And if I copy this execution, sorry, this, if I go here, let me remove this extra thing. And if I make it, let me zoom for you, you can see CPU timeout. Good. I think not comparable here. But again, what I will suggest, the same approach. If you write maybe more than 100, 1,000 record, 2,000 record, you will visualize the approach 2 is taking the less time. So what I will see, what I can do, let me share this code to you in the chat. So maybe you can play with this. Lead trigger handler. In the chat, I have option to upload this. Sorry, I think I'm getting some trouble in upload, but what I can do, we have our Slack community, Slack group. Maybe I will share this saasguru team. They will share the code there as well.